Ready to elevate your credit understanding and score? With insider tips and a plan, you can take action to improving your score, which can save thousands in unnecessary finance charges. Let's tackle today's topic with your coach, Credit Kristi.
Hey friends, it's Kristi, your credit coach. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. What I'd love to answer today is, does freezing my credit affect my credit score? And the short answer is no. Freezing your credit doesn't have any effect on your credit score, positive or negative. All that it does is freeze the access to certain people from being able to tap into your credit. You are still able to access your free annual credit report, and your trade lines are still reporting to the credit reporting bureaus just as if it weren't frozen. What it will not allow is new potential creditors to have access to your report or your credit score. Now, there are some organizations that still will have access to your credit. For example, existing creditors, those you already have a relationship with, you have a credit card, your auto loan, those kinds of things, they can still tap into your credit. And so what is important to this is a lot of times they'll tap in as a soft inquiry just to monitor and see what's going on with your credit profile. For instance, if they see that you're late on your housing payment or you skipped a couple of auto payments, your credit card company might choose to reduce your credit limit because they might see that there is a problem on the horizon and they don't want you to go out and charge a whole bunch to their credit card to potentially not pay that balance. Debt collectors can also still access your credit report even if it's frozen, and some government agencies. So if there's a court order or a subpoena or something along those lines, they can still access your credit report. Now, it's very easy and it's free to freeze your credit report. You can go online, you can call, or you can mail a letter to all 3 credit reporting bureaus and ask them to freeze your credit report. So why would somebody want to freeze their credit? I think it's a really great idea if you are going through a divorce. I did a podcast episode on how to protect your credit if you're going through a divorce, and I strongly recommend that you listen to that if that pertains to you. But the short reason for that is that if you are going through a divorce, your spouse knows your full legal name, your social security number, your date of birth, and could potentially start credit or something in your name, so don't take on that risk. Now, freezing your credit is different from a fraud alert, but if you have some things going on in your life and you really do just want to lock everything down, make sure nobody can pull credit that is new to you pulling credit, so that way maybe a future ex can't start something in your name, or you think you might be in a potential risk situation where maybe you've lost your wallet and somebody could have access to your information. Or what if you're just concerned about a data breach, right? I've seen some data breaches with large, huge national retailers, all the way down to local doctor's offices, and even with the credit reporting bureaus. So if you're concerned about your information being out there and you'd like to minimize the risk of identity theft, I would also encourage you to put a fraud alert on your credit. You can make this request and it's good for 1 year if you are not already a victim of identity theft. Now, there's something called an extended fraud alert that goes for 7 years of protection, and that can only go into effect if you can prove that you are a victim of identity theft. So what does a fraud alert do? It doesn't freeze your credit, so you'd want to really do this in addition to freezing your credit, but a fraud alert requires an organization or an institution to verify who you are through the credit company before they can issue credit. So let's say you're applying for a mortgage and there's a fraud alert on your credit report. That mortgage company, through the credit reporting company that lender is using, has to verify specific information to you to verify that it is truly you that is making a request for new credit. So now let's say your credit is frozen, but you want to lift it. It's time to go shop for a car and you're going to get financing, or you're about to start an application for a mortgage. To lift that freeze is actually quite simple. So you would go online, you can make a phone call, or you can request it by mail. So let's say you go online or you make that phone call to all 3 credit reporting bureaus. They must lift that freeze within 1 hour of your request. And if you do it by mail, they have to lift it within 3 days of receiving your letter. You can always designate the time period in which you want that lift to be in effect. So let's say you're going shopping this weekend, you could call on Friday, ask all 3 credit reporting bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, to lift that freeze for 48 hours. And then that would give the auto dealership ample time to pull credit and find you the best financing company for your needs. So if you're concerned about your credit profile getting into the wrong hands, not a bad idea to go ahead and freeze your credit. Not a bad idea to go ahead and add a fraud alert. Thanks so much for being here with me for another episode. If you have any questions, if you have a topic that you'd like for me to address on your behalf, send me an email at questions@creditkristi.com. And until next time, my friends, stay well.
Subscribe now and share with a friend to stay in the loop for new credit content and insider tips to maximize your credit knowledge. And follow Credit Kristi on Instagram.